All right, so the way. We've been doing a series on discipleship. And the whole idea of discipleship is it begins with being with Jesus. It's relational, it's friendship, it's intimacy. And a result of being with him is that I've become like him. So it's being with him, becoming like him, and then doing what he did flows out of that. We say this a lot around here. We create spaces for people to encounter God as a father, discover their identity, and fulfill their purpose. This is the discipleship track of Jesus, if you want to look at it that way. It's being with him, and he begins to rub off. We begin to think like he does, and we begin to live like he did. And so part of this is becoming like Jesus involves two things. It's identity. If any man's in Christ, he's a new creation. All things have passed away. Behold, all things have become new, right? You're a new person. That's identity. But there's a process to be walked out, and that's character. So we talked about that last week. There's to holiness. Like, we are made holy, but we have to walk that holiness out in everyday life. Same with everything else in our identity. God says that's who we are. We believe it, and then we walk it out by his grace. It's all grace. Okay? So this whole becoming like him is identity and character. And today I want to talk about the way of the Father. Because the way Jesus walked was the way of the Father. But I want to pose a question first this morning. If you could boil down the ministry of Jesus, if you could boil down the assignment on Jesus' life, what would you say the primary assignment was? You can answer if you want to. It's to save us, to do God's will, show us the Father. You may think, well, it's the cross, right? And the cross is central to everything we believe. The cross is the door. Jesus said, I am the door in. But what if I said that the cross wasn't the primary assignment of Jesus? Before you call me a heretic, just wait. Romans 5:8 says, but God demonstrates his love for us in that while we were still sinners, Christ died for us. What does the death of Jesus demonstrate? The Father's love. The primary focus, the primary assignment, the thing that Jesus came for. Yes, he came to die. Yes, he came to carry our sin on the cross. Yes, he's the only way, right? Yes, he came to be raised from the dead. Yes, he came to heal the broken. He came to inaugurate the kingdom, all of that stuff. But all of that is encapsulated into this one primary assignment, and that is to show us the Father, to reveal the Father. John 14:6-11, just a few things. He says, I'm the way, the truth, and the life. No one can come to the Father except through me. If you'd really known me, you would know who my Father is. From now on, you will know him and have seen him. He just cut and dry. If you want to know the Father, hey, you're looking at him. You're looking at the exact representation of God, is what Colossians tells us. And then Philip is like some of us, and he's like, but show us the Father, and that'll be enough for us. And Jesus is like, have you been listening? Have I been with you all this time, Philip, and yet you still don't know who I am? Anyone who has seen me has seen the Father. Why are you asking me to show him to you? Don't you believe I am in the Father and the Father is in me? The words I speak are not my own, but my Father who lives in me does his work through me. Just believe that I'm in the Father and the Father is in me, or at least believe because of the work you've seen me do. And then Matthew chapter 11. Yeah, I told you I was old school today. I'm having to turn in my Bible today. 11:27. He says, my Father, this is Jesus talking. He says, my Father has entrusted everything to me. No one truly knows the Son except the Father. And no one truly knows the Father except the Son and those to whom the Son chooses to reveal him. Everybody say reveal. Then again in John 17, verses 25 and 26, he says, he's praying this. Jesus' prayer, and he says, "O righteous Father, the world does not know you, but I do, and these disciples know you sent me. I have revealed you to them, and I will continue to do so. Then your love for me will be in them, and I will be in them." The primary assignment of Jesus, it was to reveal the Father. I want you to think about reveal. Reveal is pulling the curtain back on a subject. Y'all remember Price is Right? I think there was a curtain on there, like the grand prize, you know what I'm saying? Like that curtain comes back and says, "Tell them what they want. A new car," and it pulls back. And everybody's like, "What?" Like, "It's a Fiesta," So, because it was always like a Ford Fiesta or something, or a Pinto back in the day or something. It seems like, I don't know. That's just what I see. But when the curtain pulls back, there's no longer a mystery about it, about what's behind the curtain. You can see, you're shocked. Oh, wow. Like, I understand now what the prize is. I understand what the reward is. Jesus came to pull the curtain back on who the Father was, because there was a lot of misunderstanding. No, there's still a lot of misunderstanding about who God is and who the Father really is. And Jesus came to clear up the misconceptions. Jesus came up to make the blurry picture really clear. He is the image of the invisible God. What we can't see, what we don't understand, Jesus says, "Let me help you." And he showed us who the Father is. If you grew up in church, you may struggle with this picture of the Father as the monster and Jesus as the nice guy. They're the same person. If you see God as a monster, it's because you have misconceptions about who he is. Look at the life of Jesus. Jesus told Philip, "If you want to know what the Father's like, look no further than me. Just look at my life. Look how I act. Look what I do. Look how I feel. Look what I spend time with you. And you know me by now. If you know me," I'm just hearing the song, "If you don't know me by now." You know what I'm talking about? You wouldn't. Come on, Lauren. There we go. So knowing the Father is knowing Jesus. And so real quick, I want to talk about two misconceptions about the Father on Father's Day. The first one is an issue of his nearness, because we like to think he's really distant and far away. It's a misconception number one. Misconception number two is about his goodness. Is he really good? Says, everybody say nearness. Goodness. So I'm going to tackle each one of these and see how Jesus came to set the record straight on these two things. There's probably more, but these are the ones we're doing today, okay? His nearness and his goodness. Nearness. Religious spirit will try to keep you separated from him. It majors on the gap between us and the Lord, us and the Father, and actually causes us to strive for approval, acceptance, reaching that standard that we've missed the mark. It actually puts all the effort on us to actually earn our way to God. Now, we may not say that in our belief statement on our website or whatever, but that's often how we believe. As even after we become believers or Christians, we try to earn our salvation or keep it, when it was the grace of Jesus that got us in the door in the first place. And so religion keeps us separated, striving for approval, living in shame. What did Adam and Eve do when they sinned? They hid themselves. They hid themselves, and we're still doing that. The thoughts sound like in our head, because that's how you recognize what the enemy's saying sometimes. Not every thought you have is yours. So sometimes the thoughts sound like this: God couldn't love me because fill in the blank. I can't get close to him because I'm fill in the blank. I can't know him like so-and-so because they're just super spiritual and like, Have you said some of this stuff in your head before? Am I the only one? Y'all making me feel really lonely, like I'm the only jacked up one. I should be more fill in the blank. If I were more fill in the blank, then God would love me, choose me, use me, promote me, whatever you want to fill in the blank. So those are the thoughts we have. What did Jesus reveal about the Father? He revealed that the Father actually is very close, very near, very available, very approachable. John chapter 1, verse 1 through 5, it tells us that the Word in the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God. Who's the Word? Jesus. He is God. He's one with the Father. And then in verse 14, it says, the Word, Jesus, became flesh and dwelt among us, made his dwelling among us. In other words, we don't have to guess what he's like anymore. He's not a distant God. He's a God who is willing to come down and get in our mess. He's a God who's willing to come down and get in the thick of it. I mean, for crying out loud, the angel told Mary his name will be called, and the prophet said, Emmanuel, which means God with us. I mean, the whole assignment of Jesus, who he was, just screamed, I am with you, and I am close, and I am near, and I'm available. Religion is always man's attempt to reach an unapproachable God, whereas what Jesus demonstrated and modeled for us and showed us and revealed to us is that the Father is actually relentlessly pursuing us. That we would not even seek him if it weren't for his Holy Spirit drawing us to the Father. That's Jesus' words too. John 3:16, for God so loved the world that he gave his one and only Son. The giving of the Son was the heart of the Father. The Father loved you that he came. He loved you so much that he didn't just lay it on you to make it happen. He came to you. You thankful? That's good. That's good news. I remember back when I think I was about 16 years old, and on Larkin Road in Elba, Alabama, I was driving my 92 Jeep Cherokee. Come on. That's a good one. And I was kind of a religious kid. I knew Jesus. I'd walked away from him. I'd compromised a lot. I was driving down the road on the way to a youth meeting in our church. And one of the most profound encounters I ever had happened in that Jeep. I'm driving down the road, and I'm overcome with the closeness and the love of the Father. And I pull over the side of the road, and I just weep and weep and weep and weep. That ever happened to you? Can't explain it. You're just like, I'm just undone at the love of God. How about it wasn't a distant God that I encountered in that Jeep? He'll get in your Jeep. And it wasn't the cleanest vehicle in the world, you know what I'm saying? High schooler. God will get in the car with you. He'll ride with you. God's not ashamed to be seen with you. He's not ashamed to be near you. It doesn't defile him when you're jacked up or, you know, in a bad place in your life. It doesn't defile him to come close. Actually, when he comes close, it frees you and it cleans you. And that's what happened to me that day. And I just believe the Lord's wanting to do that in your life today in a fresh way. So we know what Jesus revealed about his nearness. Now, what do we do when he doesn't feel near? Because it's good to think in theory, right? He's close, he's near. There are points in my life where I've thought, he's like past Pluto out there. Like, there is no evidence that God is near me right now. Like, I don't feel anything. I don't sense his presence. I don't, like, where is he showing up in my life? I feel like I'm lost and alone. Have you ever been there? So what do you do when you feel like that? James 4:8 tells us to draw near to God, and he will draw near to you. Does that mean I'll feel him all the time? But the promise is that if I draw near, he will draw near to me, and not reluctantly. Jesus demonstrated this too in how he revealed the Father in the prodigal son story. The prodigal son says, I'm going home. He gets to the end of the driveway and the Father is running. That's your Father. Draw near to God, he will draw near to you. Hebrews 11:6, he's a rewarder of those who diligently seek him. Jeremiah 29:13, you will seek me and find me when you search for me with all your heart. You know what the reward, he's a rewarder of those who seek him. You know what the reward is? It's him. It's him. He told Abraham or Moses, can't remember now, I'm your exceeding great reward. And the promise is that when we seek him, when we draw near, we will find him. It is not, I think prophet Isaiah said, it is not his hand that is shortened to save. He's not a T-Rex, right? It's not his hand that's shortened, but it's our sin that has put the block in there. Draw near to God, and he will draw near to you. All right. Goodness. The goodness of the Father. All right. Are y'all still with me this morning? Here's what religion will tell us. It makes him out to be a monster. It keeps us doubting. It keeps us in a place of distrust, mistrust. It creates a theology around the Father that blames him for everything bad in life. Sickness, suffering. Well, it must be God teaching me a lesson. Have you ever heard that before? You ever thought that before? Jesus came to clear this up. And it takes us a while to get around to it and for that curtain to really be pulled back on how we see the Father. But Jesus cleared all this up. Look at Genesis chapter 3, verse 5, when the serpent is talking to Eve. And Eve knows what God has said. Don't eat of the fruit of this tree. The serpent says, did God really say that? And she's like, yeah. I know what I heard. And so the enemy comes and causes her to question the heart of the Father. And he says, just paraphrasing, what's he withholding from you? I wonder why he doesn't want you to eat from this tree. Maybe he's hiding something. Maybe, and at the heart of this question, at the heart of the temptation was, maybe he's not good. And it's the same lie he tells. And he loves to tell church people this lie. These thoughts sound like, does God even care? Well, I guess God's punishing me for the time I fill in the blank. It's often manifested in worry. I worry about my future. I worry about the money. I worry about my family. Come on, you there? What's the fruit? What's it a fruit of? Not believing that he's good. Well, he can, but I don't know if he will. And we cushion our prayers with, Lord, if it be thy will. Rather than just standing on faith and say, God, I know that you're good, so I'm going to ask without doubting. Don't be double-minded. And instead, we cushion our prayers and make them safe. God, I know. I mean, if you're willing, the leper came to Jesus and said, hey, if you're willing, you can make me clean. And Jesus said, I'm willing. So what did Jesus reveal about the Father? He actually revealed that the Father is really good. He's really good. He has plans for you that are good. He loves you deeply. He is your provider. He spent a whole section in the Sermon on the Mount talking about, hey, the little birds out here, they're not worried about what they're going to eat. Don't worry about it. Are you not more valuable than a little bird? Why did he have to even address that? Because we don't believe he's good. Matthew 9, Jesus. So Jesus revealed the Father. Jesus is standing on a hillside and he's looking over the masses, and he says that he was moved with compassion for them, for they were weary and scattered like sheep having no shepherd. That moved with compassion. I know this theologically, but listen, I want you to hear what moved the heart of Jesus was the same heart of the Father. Like it's the same heart. I want you to see them as one. I want you to see how does God think about this situation? How is Jesus responding in this situation? He sees people that are jacked up in every way, that aren't living holy, aren't living all churchy. They got all kind of problems in their life, not just the physical, but the spiritual and the emotional and the family dynamic, everything he's looking at. And he's still looking this way. And he's not got his arms folded with a scowl on his face. He's moved with compassion. Your Father, in your brokenness, in your nastiness, in the worst day of your life, your Father's heart is moved with compassion for you. Do you believe that? Isn't that hard to believe? It's because we got too much religion. We got way too much religion. And the Father is wanting to pull back this curtain on our lives to show us indeed that he is good. So what do we do when he doesn't seem good? Have you ever faced anything in your life and you thought, well, I don't know if he's good? It's usually because of disappointment. It's usually because of pain. Discouragement. People fail us. Things happen in our life that we can't explain, and so we begin to question if he's good. So, hey, that's just part of being a human being, right? What do we do when we get there? There's a passage that talked about John the Baptist, and he's in prison. Now, the whole assignment of John was to prepare the way of the Messiah. And he had given his life. He had a prophecy spoken over him before he was even born that said he would prepare the way of the one who was to come. He knew it. They trained him in it. And he gave his life, devoted his entire life. I'm not going to get married. I'm not going to do any of this stuff. I'm going to live in the desert and just preach one thing. He's coming. It marked his life. It defined his life. And then fast forward, Jesus has come, and John got in some trouble, and he's sitting in prison on death row, and he asked some of his disciples to go to Jesus and ask him, are you really the one, or should we be looking for somebody else? And Jesus says, go back to John and tell him the blind see, the deaf hear, the lame walk, the lepers are cleansed, the dead are raised, the poor of having the good news preached to them. In other words, tell John to look at what I am doing, not what I'm not doing. When we're in a place where we can't see the goodness of God, it's often because we're focused on what he's not doing. Turn our eyes, fix our focus on what he is doing. Look around you and look for something to be thankful for. Even it's, God, I'm thankful I got shoes on my feet. God, I'm thankful that I've got food to eat. God, I'm thankful for a family that's not perfect, but at least I got one, just be thankful. God, thank you for this. And I'm going to tell you, your internal storm and swirl will begin to die down when you become thankful for what God is doing and put your focus on that. Now, the next thing is this, not only what he is doing, but what he has done. This is a practice that I do all the time. I've got journals. I've got stacks of these things. I've got notes in my phone of prophetic words. I've got notes in my phone of things that the Lord has told me and things that He's done in my life. And I write it down and I notate it and I record it and I rehearse those things in my mind. I look over the testimonies of my life. When I feel like He's not good, I look back and realize He was good then. And He has not stopped being good. I just don't have a full picture in this season that I'm in right now. So I have to look in the rearview mirror. And He's the same God He was then, and He'll be the same God. But I have to rehearse those things. And I have to look back over my life. Where has He been faithful? Where has He been good? Rehearsing your past victories can get you through your present valleys. Yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for You are with me. That's nearness. Your rod and your staff comfort me. That's goodness. He's near. He's good. Sometimes it takes us reminding ourselves. Band, come on up. If you would. Through all our doubts, through all our pain, through all our disappointment, Jesus came to clear up the record on who the Father is. And He revealed primarily that God is near, He's close, and that He's good.